The Final Four is officially set, and the second matchup of the day is between the lone 2 seed UConn Huskies and third 1 seed Stanford Cardinal. This is another matchup between two teams who are yet to play each other this season, so it makes for an extremely intriguing bout of two legitimate title contenders. So, who wins? In today's video, I'll be taking a look at the Final Four matchup between the UConn Huskies and Stanford Cardinal, and predicting the game's outcome, looking at each team's strengths and weaknesses, the X-Factor players for each squad, the keys to success, every little detail. Before we start, if you are new here and enjoy the video, be sure to subscribe. For more women's basketball content like this, I'm trying to reach 2,000 subscribers, so all support would be greatly appreciated. Anyway, with that being said, let's take a look at this Final Four matchup. Firstly, let's dive into the strengths and weaknesses for each team and why these areas matter against their respective opponent. Starting with UConn, their biggest strength would have to be their offensive versatility and depth. Though Paige Bueckers is the ultimate primary option, we've seen throughout this tournament the importance other players have had on this team's success. Namely players like Kristen Williams, Azzi Fudd, Aaliyah Edwards, Olivia Nelson-Ododa, and Evina Westbrook. Having this versatile group, UConn can run a number of different sets that can get almost every player a good look. It gives them the advantage of an unpredictable offense. At the start of the season, this was a problem for UConn, as they relied too often on Paige to create all the offense. Since her injury though, UConn have improved drastically in that department, and now have one of the most dangerous team ball style plays in the tournament. Against Stanford, this is going to be extremely important, as the Cardinal have several lockdown defenders who have the potential to make efficient offense difficult to come by. So, UConn really need to make the most of all their options that they have so they can space the floor, and therefore open up some opportunities off their set plays. They did that really well against Indiana in particular, finishing with 5 players scoring above 9 points, and I think that kind of spread in the scoring is going to be really important against Stanford. Another strength of UConn's is their defense. Though it hasn't been elite throughout the season, it has been particularly great in this March Madness, where it has needed to be great. They locked down Mercy in round 1 and followed that up with another defensive showcase against UCF, something that won them the game. I think their most impressive defensive stance though, aside from the UCF game, came in the NC State battle. To hold NC State to just 61 points in regulation is no easy feat, and to force them into 14 turnovers is even more impressive. They've come a long way since the start of the season, and it's a good sign considering Stanford's well-rounded offense they'll be tasked with defending. The Huskies' defense this tournament has been elite from all areas, whether that's Olivia Nelson-Ododa and Aaliyah Edwards protecting the rim or out on the perimeter, where the heart of players like Nika Mule, Paige Bueckers, and Kristen Williams really shows, consistently coming up with deflections, forced turnovers, or leading the opposition into a poor shot. Again, playing a team with an offense that punish you from all areas on the floor, cohesive defense is key. And though UConn has struggled at times on this end, sometimes falling asleep in patches during a game, if they can replicate a defensive performance they had against NC State, they should be in good stead. As for weaknesses for UConn, I honestly don't think they've had a major one that sticks out more than the others, but I will say their inconsistency on the rebounds could hurt them. Sometimes they've been brilliant rebounding, particularly against Indiana and NC State, but other times they've been outmatched and it's cost them a lot. With Stanford being led by the 6'5" Cameron Brink, a poor game on the glass could be the factor that eliminates UConn from this tournament. Stanford has their strengths and weaknesses as well, and their biggest strength in my eyes would have to be their interior defense. Anchored by Cameron Brink and Haley Jones, Stanford have been right behind South Carolina in blocks per game all season long. Brink's length deters drives, and the physicality of this Stanford team overall makes it difficult for teams to successfully drive through them and finish at the basket. UConn love to get downhill off back cuts, off-ball screens, and handoffs on the perimeter, so the presence of players like Brink will force them into more mid-range pull-up jumpers, something I think Stanford would much rather have than an easy layup attempt. So this strength of Stanford's is going to be very important to limiting UConn's strong, versatile offense. Stanford is also an elite offensive team, mainly in the paint like their defense. The Cardinal are stacked on players who can dominate and get buckets from the low block, and that will be an important factor against UConn. While Edwards and Nelson Adota are strong defensively, the injury to Dorky Uhas has severely impeded their depth in the front court. By having players like Brink and Jones go at these two in the regular, one or both of the UConn bigs may fall into foul trouble, putting Stanford in a better position to win the game. However, one weakness that I think could be a problem for Stanford is their ball security. In their last 3 games, they've turned the ball over 20 times, 18 times, and 14 times respectively, for an average of over 17 times per game. That's especially concerning considering the relentless perimeter defenders UConn has, like Nika Mule and Paige Beckers, who are likely to take advantage of those turnovers, unlike a team like Kansas might. If Stanford can't cut these down, they might struggle to execute their game plan this game, and that could be costly in the end. But those are the strengths and weaknesses for each team. Now let's take a look at a player on each team that could elevate their respective team to the championship, or potentially hurt them if they don't play well. Essentially, who is their X Factor? For UConn, it's got to be Kristen Williams. She's been UConn's X Factor all tournament long, and I don't think anything will change on Friday. Her increased aggressiveness with ball in hand has been really important for UConn. She's been poised and patient and intentionally hunting her spots to get good looks. If she can get off to a hot start, it really throws off the opposition's defense as she becomes a genuine threat UConn can rely on, and that spaces the floor a lot more, as the defense shifts to containing her play. It was a big factor for UConn to begin their game against NC State, and if she can continue her aggressive play, even if she's not overly efficient, it'll make a world of difference for the Huskies. As for Stanford, I actually have 2 players who I think will be their X Factor tomorrow. One is Lexi Hull, whose improved scoring has been a major help to propelling Stanford into the Final Four. She's been able to diversify the Cardinals' offense and be another option they can rely on, and her evident impact was seen in her 36-point outing versus Kansas. Even if she drops a solid 20 points on Friday, I think that kind of scoring outburst will be a difference maker and could put UConn in confusion defensively. There will certainly be a lot of focus on Jones and Brink, so to have that extra weapon firing will be key. However, I think the ultimate influencer on the outcome tomorrow for Stanford will be Cameron Brink. She completely changes the dynamic of the game. That was most clearly seen against Texas, where after a quiet first half, Brink came out the dressing room fiery, proceeding to score 10 points and block 6 shots in the second half, allowing Stanford to run away with the game later in the fourth quarter. What Brink brings in particular is her ability to defend not only in the paint, but also out on the perimeter. UConn have tried to draw bigs out of the paint before, but even if they do that with Brink, she can hold her own, which is why I believe she'll be crucial for Stanford tomorrow. Being one of the best defenders in the country, and having one of her better defensive streaks of her career so far, she's going to play a seriously important role. I cannot stress that enough. Finally, before I get into my final prediction, what is a key to winning this game for each team? For UConn, it'll be winning the rebounding battle. As the last 2 games have proven, second chance opportunities are going to be massive boosters for UConn and help them hold the momentum. Against a team like Stanford as well, who are such a tall and ferocious rebounding team, these are going to be a must. If UConn want to go all the way, they need Ono and Edwards to remain a presence under the basket, as especially with no Dorka, they can't slack off and allow Stanford's bigs to take over the game from inside the paint. For Stanford, their key will be getting UConn's bigs in foul trouble. UConn's front court is already depleted with Uhas's injury, so to force Auriemma to rest Edwards or Adota for longer than he'd like will be a big help. The less time these two spend on the floor together, the easier it will be for Brink, Jones, Hull, etc. to score inside. And as I mentioned before, getting Brink going could open the floodgates for the Cardinal. But with that all being said, who wins this game? UConn or Stanford? I've honestly flipped between the two all week long. Sometimes I see UConn having an advantage, sometimes I see Stanford being the better side. In the end, I'm tipping Stanford to win this by under 5 points, but I really can't blame you if you choose UConn to win this, because honestly, I can see them winning this just as easily. However, I have gone with Stanford today. I think their defense is too compelling to overlook, and while their turnover issues this tournament are definitely reason for concern, especially against a defense like UConn's, their own defense should be able to make up for it. Also, I think the hit to UConn's frontcourt depth might be too damaging for them as well. I know they've fought through adversity all season long, but against such a stacked frontcourt from Stanford, I do have my doubts about how they'll fare. Now, to be fair, maybe UConn get inspired by this injury and they win it for Dorka. Maybe the fact they're in Page's hometown plays a part. There are a lot of outside factors at play here that benefit UConn, which is why I have this being such a tight contest. But on a purely basketball level, I think Stanford have the slightest of advantages, and it's why I have them moving on to the national championship game. But that will conclude the video. What do you guys think of this? Who do you have winning this game? Stanford or UConn? Let me know all your predictions down below in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave it a like and subscribe. But with that being said, I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.